and members of the Senate committees on petroleum resources, upstream, downstream, and gas. I'm Senator Bashir Lado, CON, the Special Advisor to Mr. President on Senate matters. I'm here to present for screening the following two presidential nominees for appointment as the Commission Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, in accordance with the provision of Section 113 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, and as the Authority Chief Executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, in accordance with the provision of Section 416 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. By my right, I have Mrs. Mayuwa Eyason, and by my left, I have Engineer Saidu Mohammed. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I want to add that these nominees were carefully selected by Mr. President himself. Their CVs are impeccable. In fact, so impeccable that I'm tempted to say, with your kind permission, sir, let my people go. So that...
Yes, we will allow them go. But what is the reason? How are they qualified to be? We want to hear.
Okay. So...
let us hear from them. Even though we must track our process, but because of the necessity and emergency nature of your work, we agreed to bend this afternoon and lay the report. Therefore, we want to hear from you.
Okay, sir. Okay, so in brief, sir. Okay, sir. So let me start with the nominee from my right.
Distinguished Chairman, Senate Committees on Petroleum Resources, Upstream, Downstream, and Gas. Distinguished members of the Senate Committees of Petroleum Resources, Upstream, Downstream, and Gas. The Special Advisor to Mr. President on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, CON, and permit me to specially recognize the senators from my wonderful state, Delta State, Senator Ned Woko, Senator Joel Onowakbo Thomas, and Senator Ede Dafinone. It's with great pleasure that I stand or sit before this very distinguished committee. I stand here with over 33 years oil and gas experience. I have worked across the length and breadth of the industry, upstream industry. I started as a young officer. I think it's switched off. Okay. Yeah, I think I can. Okay. I think my voice might be
Let's continue.
So I started my career as a young officer in NNPC, procurement, and later moved to NAPIMS, what we now know today as NUPRC. Over the years in NAPIMS, I turned around the joint venture operations. I rose to become the GM planning at a time the industry was going through a lot of issues with our partners, to the extent that there was huge divestment threats from our partners. And this was as a result of the accumulated arrears. As the GM planning, working with my team and the management of NMPC, we were able to resolve the arrears that we had accumulated over time. And for that reason, we brought back confidence into the industry. This culminated in the IOCs investing over $6 billion in the upstream industry. That for me was a very notable achievement, even at a time when we so dire needed injection from outside. On working as the GM planning, I was elevated in 2019 to be the first female to head the corporate strategy. Again, I took over that role that was bedeviled with quite a number of issues. We had gone to arbitration with our PSC partners, and we were indebted to them to the tune of over $10 billion. Under my watch, with the support again of the leadership team of NMPC, we were able to resolve the disputes, and today we can now see the dividends of the resolution. Today, there are investments in the deep offshore. We have the Bonga Southwest. We have the discoveries in Intoko. And we have a host of other injections coming from the PSC. And this is as a result of the resolution of the PSC disputes. I also commenced the discussion of non-associated gas development. For many years, we prided ourselves as a nation that is gas-centric. However, in terms of development, we saw that we were falling short of developing our gas resources. If you look at the ratio of non-associated gas to associated gas, it's an even distribution. However, because of the incentives for associated gas, we were skewed towards developing associated gas. Under my watch, we signed the first ever non-associated gas development contracts. Again, we've seen the industry morph into the PIA regime. I was fortunate enough, as the head of corporate planning and strategy, to support the committee. Interagency committee it was, but I supported NMPC's contribution to morphing the PIB to what we now have as the PIA. Again, a lot of kudos goes to this noble house for the support that we received for the enactment of the PIA. And very recently, on assuming the role of EVP upstream, the production levels were about 1.3 million barrels. Under my watch, working with the same team, we increased production to 1.8 million barrels by the time I was retiring from service. Distinguished senators, These are just highlights of my contribution in the industry. Going forward, because of my antecedents, I see myself being competent to step into the regulatory role because I have participated as an operator, I have participated in developing the resources. I believe I have garnered enough experience to regulate the industry and ensure that we maximize the opportunities, the huge opportunities that we have, both in gas as well as in oil. May I continue or? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, distinguished Chairman. Thank you very much. So this is just a summary of my achievements, and I really must appreciate the audience. Thank you.
From my colleagues.
Goje and distinguished Senator Dankombo are not available. But then Ningi is watching. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let me go back to appreciate the opportunity that has been given to me. My life, my career life has all been in NMPC, right from day one, employed as engineer 2, immediately after NYC. And at that young engineer level, I was just doing nothing but other than supervision of construction of pipelines that were going on at that time. Later on, as I progressed, I moved into the commercial activities where I had to sell gas, get market for gas and sell it. And from that then, I moved out to the design and construction of the pipeline facilities for gas. And ultimately, I was started with operations. My first operation then was manage the Lagos operation zone of Nigerian Gas Company. From there, I moved on to be the Executive Director Operations of Nigerian Gas Company. And ultimately, I became the Managing Director of Nigerian Gas Company. I think it was while I was the EDO of Executive Director Operations of Nigerian Gas Company that I had the privilege of hosting Chairman then of the Gas Committee, Senator Izunaso, here present. Distinguished, I must recognize you. Yeah, I must recognize you. I was Executive Director Operations then in Warri. So from gas, I have had stints of other opportunities to serve in the oil sector. I had the privilege of being the depot manager of Calabar Depot for about 2 years. And I also served as Dangote Refinery Managing Director for another 2 years. While in Nigerian Gas Company, part of my contributions have been, first of all, to solve the problem. Problem number one has always been whoever is consuming gas always see us doing us a favor. In other words, the 70% consumer of the gas was never willing to pay for any gas. So we had to survive by outreaching into the commercial customers who are going to give us that money that we can continue to operate the Nigerian Gas Company. And that's why my first schedule was to be able to extend gas supply to the corners. And that's how we reach out to Ikeja, Ilupeju, and the rest of them, all parts of Lagos. And we even went up to Abeokuta by extension. And all other spur lines also towards the north, between Oben and Ajakuta, where we had to extend gas to Obajana and some brick companies around Ofunene. And in the east, we also had to extend our transmission beyond the NAFCON and the rest of them to extend into the neighborhood of Trans-Amadi and the rest of it, to serve the industries, thereby getting more money for Nigerian Gas Company to survive. Because it was very clear that without any contract with the power sector, you can never get money from the power sector. And also, part of the issues that we face in Nigerian Gas Company is how can we secure the molecules? And that is what gave birth to our gas master plan. We sat down and developed that gas master plan that came up with domestic obligations on the IOCs whatever gas you produce, you must dedicate certain gas for domestic use. And that is what gave birth to that. In the refinery, I also was the one who initiated 60%, at least 60% utilization level of Kaduna Refinery. And while I was there, Kaduna Refinery worked up to that 60% level. And for other assignments that have been given in NMPC, especially the transformation aspect, because at sometimes we had to transform NMPC from being what we are to where we wanted to be. And I was a key member to some of the transformation activities, especially to do with technology. I also opportuned to be one of those architects who extended the gas beyond the borders of Nigeria into the West Africa. And I even served ultimately as the chairman of the board of directors of West African Gas Pipeline Company. From my antecedents, of course, now what I have is a privilege given to me by Mr. President, who deemed it fit, believing that I will perform a regulatory role. And I think my preparation, my antecedents, my own experience in the entire value chain of oil and gas is enough for me to have that. But what I see from outside really is that there is a massive opportunity that we have, especially in the midstream, downstream sector, where tremendous investment, if we look at what we need on the investments of the midstream alone, is billions of dollars, and that is where priorities will be. Thank you very much.
The nominees, the floor is open for question, remark, and of course, well, yes, okay. And of course, we need to consider our challenges. We must prepare this report today to have the opportunity of laying it tomorrow. And then we have another committee. Oh yes, I understand. Wait. And yes. No. We must allow senators to ask questions. Senator Lado allowed us to do our job. You do your own. Although you are marketing your product, allowed us to do our. Engineer Saidu, I have a question, please. I don't want to repeat myself. I will just wait out my colleagues too. My question is that, by the grace of God, now you are the chief executive of one of the most important agency in energy sector in Nigeria. Based on our oversight, interactive hearing with stakeholders, more especially downstream sector, which by the privilege, I am the chairman. We can see that there are some misunderstanding between the marketers and refineries owners of the fuel importation, issuing license to import, more especially, let me say it in a plain word, petrol to Nigeria. There are some concern from the refineries owners, and even the marketers are complaining that those who are refining oil in Nigeria cannot meet the demand of the country. As experienced stakeholder or member of the family, can you shed more light to us for us to be more equipped with what is going on ahead of our working together with you? This is my question. Hey, Joel, you answer.
Please wait. Please, Jordan, they called me. Let me speak first. They called me.
Yes.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Joel Onwabo Thomas. I represent Delta South Nigeria District. Mr. Chairman, first and foremost, I want to commend the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFRO, for appointing these very credible Nigerians who have served in this industry. In particular, I want to talk about the Yenso, who is from my constituent, a graduate of economics, who served 33 years in NNPC, and who at one point was EVP upstream. it shows that we are moving towards the right direction.
Let me please plead with my colleagues. Let us go direct to the question because of the time, and so many members want.
I would have finished.
You don't need to. You don't need to. He has already presented
Chairman,
us.
The point, I'm going to give a personal attestation of Engineer Saidu Aliu. You know, oftentimes, when you confirm people here in this Senate, you don't get to them again. But when I was the chairman of the Senate Committee on Gas, and he was the MD Nigerian Gas Company, we were relating very well. I didn't have any issue. Once I call him on phone, he will answer. And I hope that when we clear you, you will still behave that same way. Now, one question. You were the group executive director, COO, gas to power, between 2016 and 2019. The issue of gas to power is still a major issue in Nigeria still today. So if you are confirmed, what are you going to do to ensure that there's availability of gas to the power plants to energize our electricity system? That is my only question. Thank you.
So I want to thank you. I want to thank the president and to say that they are credible and they are qualified for this position. The only thing I want to ask here is that, my sister, now that you have been given the opportunity to come back to helping our country to grow the production, can you tell us what you will want to do differently to make sure that the purpose of your appointment and the confidence that the president reposed on you is not disappointed?
The chairman of Upstream, Downstream and Gas, distinguished colleagues, our nominee, I equally want to join other speakers by congratulating you for being found worthy of this nomination. And I pray that God will give you the wisdom, if and when confirmed, to deliver optimally. I just want, when listening to Engineer Saidu Aliu Mohammed, that you are one time in the Kaduna Refinery and then it was working. Now, in tune with the circumstances of the development of this energy sector now, what advice do you give to Nigeria as regards our local refineries? The Parakot one, the Kaduna one, going by the quantum of money that Nigeria have invested in turnaround maintenance, without a drop of result from any of this. What do you suggest to Nigeria? Do we continue with that, or do we get it off, or how do we move forward from that? Okay. Judging from your experience. Thank you.
I just wanted to commend both of you for your nominations, and to also say that we're happy with the president's choice, especially for the nominee from my state, Madam Yesan. I am actually very proud of you and happy that a woman has been chosen for this particular position. But just a very small question that borders on gas flaring. What are your experiences and what do you think we can do differently to stop gas flaring in the Niger Delta area? Are you bothered about it? Is it something that you can tackle in your current positions? Thank you. First of all, let me commend the both of you for the appointment.
I am appealing to my colleagues to see reason of shortening their questions, remark. If not necessary, please let us consider our challenges.
Senator Benson Agadaga is my name, from Bayelsa East Senatorial District. I'm chairman host communities, member of downstream as well. Coincidentally, today we had a meeting with the upstream on the host communities aspect of the component of your office. The unexpected happened. Your chief executive would have been here. Now that he is gone and they are going into it. And I'm happy that you're also from the host communities. You know what we are doing, what we are suffering. We discovered that the 3% allocation has not been complied with many of the settlers. Reports and petitions have been coming to my office. Now that you're coming in and you are from that area, what can you do to make sure that at least those communities that have been languishing in poverty, who have been complaining, and the National Assembly and the federal government decided to give them 3%. What can you do to make sure that there's compliance to that effect, so that people can once again be happy? Thank you very much.
Nominees. My name is Asuko Ekpeyon, Senator representing Cross River South. Madam Orishemi. Sorry, I need the attention of the nominees. I started off by congratulating both of you on your nomination, and I trust that you will go on to do your jobs effectively. For me, it's straightforward. I've known of Madam Ayesha at her time at NMPC as the EVP upstream. And I was aware when she had this remarkable feat of leading production to 1.8 million barrels per day. But what is news to me is that it was done without capex injection. Well, I would like you to tell us how you achieved this feat, this remarkable feat, and how you would be applying this unique skill set, this special skill set, to your new role at NUPRC. Thank you.
Who prefer importation, importing poverty here and exporting our prosperity abroad, do not deserve to live. I want to see how his case will be pursued to conclusion. With you, sir, having been in the industry, and I imagine in your heart, you lament that refineries that worked before, I was in Kaduna. Many of my relations were getting jobs and contracts, LPO, to the Kaduna Refinery. They are all dead. Now that you are here, and in view of the very shameful performance and policy choices of your predecessor, will you be informed by the spirit of patriotism and the details of jobs for Nigeria, not the details of the owners of refineries, the people who work there, who are our brothers and sisters, our children, who learn chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, etc. What step will you take to balance national interests with this idea of run down the country so that you can import and people who are adding no value make money without effort? But I want to congratulate you and more importantly salute our president for acting properly without allowing for a vacuum. And I'm still going to drink tonight because of the removal of Farouk.
Thanks, and co-chairman. Let me congratulate the two nominees. My leader here, comrade, I've already baked the cake. Let me put the icing. Straight to the point. Engineer Aliusa, what will you do different? Your predecessor did not do well. It's on record. What will you do different? Number one. Two, Mr. Chairman, we are in Dangote Refinery early this month. We have seen a lot of things, we hear a lot of things. And I can assure you, Nigerians like me, I'm close to the ground, I'm already on the ground. And he that is on the ground, fear no fall. I want you to tell us here, what are you, or to tell Nigerians, what are you going to do different with what the SAC predecessor did to correct that impression, because there are negative impressions about that. Number two, ma. Number three, over to you, ma. You are an experienced person, according to my distinguished colleague, Ekpeyon. You are predecessor to 0/0. When you go in there, we want to see difference and be friend to the stakeholders, especially the committee. Your predecessor, let me call it a common lafe, has no any relationship. He's above everybody. And I will join you, sir, this evening to drink on his removal. It's not sack. This one is just, we know it's not, they are sack, not resign. Sack. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's something we've been fighting for at the National Assembly. I'd like to hear what your strategies would be to encourage local content in the two sectors. Thank you.
have manned the petroleum sector for us usually are well read. And today you are before us, both of you are well read, a chemical engineer and an economist. But the problem we have is that our petroleum industry or the sector is a honeypot where people who get there get carried away by the prospects of making money in that industry. From there, we'll get into problems. I will start with Madam Nominee for NUPRC job. Our problem is accountability. We've always been wondering what has been happening to our oil production output. How can we account for the oil Nigeria produces? We have issues of oil theft, which Senator Ned Nwoko is anchoring the ad hoc committee on oil theft. I'm a member of that ad hoc committee. And we have seen that Nigeria cannot account accurately the volume of oil crude it produces. So many leakages. People steal our oil a lot. So you had held that position and ramped up production to 1.8 million barrels per day. You know, it went down to 1.2 million barrels per day. Even 950,000 barrels per day. But now, we are challenged as a nation. We need money, revenue. And the only way we can ramp up our revenue is for being prudent in accounting for what we produce. Are you going to assure this committee that as the person who will be in charge, that you will block these leakages so that our oil output can reach 2.5 million barrels per day in no distant time? This is my question for you.
It's all well, Onyeso. I represent Rivers East. And when we talk about Rivers East, we are talking about the center of oil activities in Nigeria, Port Harcourt. I am very happy with Mr. President for the appointment of both of you. Very well educated, very experienced, very apt. You are like the round peg in a round hole. They've said so many good things about you, both the ones you've done and the expected ones. I have no fears that they are wrong. I don't think they are wrong. But I want to ask a question. How are you going to help to bring those catchment areas to be very involved in the oil industry? I am chairman of Federal Character. I have asked both, luckily you are together now, both agencies to furnish me with their personnel record, please. This is an opportunity. I'm seeing them here. Give me 2 more minutes. Yes, to furnish my committee with your personnel information. They have refused for 2.5 years. In fact, I had to meet with my colleague in the compliance sector committee that we have to call a press conference. So now that you're here, how soon, if luck, I think you should be confirmed, but if I am the one to decide, how soon are you going to make that available to us when you are confirmed? Thank you very much.
Nominees of Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, you can see the enthusiasm amongst distinguished senators to move this industry forward. We have a charge here, and that charge is to screen you and to affirm that you meet the qualifications as spelled out in the PIA. We have looked at it. Both of you have 15 years and more in the industry. You also have the basic qualification. So the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has not run short of anything, and you people have not run short of anything. But you can see that our distinguished colleagues have gray areas they want to raise issues on. But I will appeal that we dwell on the assignment that has given to us, to screen the nominees before us for the purpose of confirming them for this assignment. And we will meet to interact for you to give us your blueprint, and we'll give you our own inputs as legislators who represent our people. For now, I think we should discharge this responsibility and move forward instead of engaging in back and forth questions and answers. Let us look at the basic thing that we have been asked to do here. Screen you people, and then when you are confirmed and inaugurated, we now meet. Because we have at least 1 year and some months to do our work with you. We cannot begin and end the work today. I crave your indulgence that we move forward. Thank you very much.
Going by the submission of one of the remaining colleagues, yes, I will move the motion. Going by his submission, his intent or our intent is to allow you go, confirm you, then we will create a time where we will have an interactive session with you guys when you assumed office. Now you are going to enter new office, which you don't have much knowledge about, but you have the experience and knowledge of the industry. But some challenges, some innovations, and the approach of the first leaders of all their challenges, it may be new to you. Therefore, we will give you an opportunity. We will summon you back, maybe immediately we resume from this break, have an interactive session with you, ask you additional questions, shed more light on what we are doing, misunderstanding area, clear that misunderstanding. Let us find a way where we will work in the same frequency to achieve the results. I think this is what my co-chair is proposing to us. We can allow you to just give you some of the most important, answer the question. We don't have any problem. I can stay here, but we have some other engagement.
Before please, I just also want to ask, I also want to join my colleagues to thank Mr. President for the wise choice people have chosen, because you, from your record, where you have high experience in the oil and gas industry. But I must say that we have a lot of problem in the oil and gas industry, because to some extent, I've been in that industry for about 30 years too. I know that you can see that today the cost of air ticket is so high, and we have refineries, and in the refinery the aviation unit in the refinery is supposed to produce aviation fuel, and I'm quite sure that since all the years I work in the refinery, Kaduna refinery, Protocol refinery, I'm not sure they have ever produced aviation kerosene. Even the assisted gas we use in cooking, there was a plan we doing I think 10 years back. There was a project to pipe gas to houses within the NMDPRA to start with, but it didn't see the light of the day today. So you people that is coming with your experience, do you have any plan on how you want to tackle this issue of assisted gas and to ensure that the aviation fuel, because if we're able to address it, the high cost of F ticket will go down. Do you have any plan on how you can go about that too? Those are some of my. I have so many questions, but let me stop with that very well because of time.
Add to what Senator Howard said concerning you people not being able to connect with the Senate properly. They've been requesting for documents, in those cases, have been requesting for documents for us to be able to evaluate and appraise your activities for a particular year. The same thing happens to the Senate Committee on Public Procurement, which I happen to be the chairman of that committee. We have been calling for record of the two agencies. They never make this available. And you can see that these two committees are very, very key into the operation. That one is also the beginning of failure. When you don't produce your document for us to look at, how can you also appraise yourself whether you are performing or you are not performing? And we advise that by the time you call or we call on document or record for you to give to us, you should be able to do it. Thank you. That's my advice.
It bears repeating to congratulate, particularly, Madam, because there is no question, sir, that this issue about women empowerment and equality is an issue in Nigeria. So I commend the President for finding you worthy of being appointed. And Mohammed, looking at your CV, you are all qualified. The issue for me is not qualification. It's your policy choices. And that is where I would like to learn from you. Everywhere in the world, the nation state make deliberate effort to protect local industries, not because we like the owners of those industries, but because we want to create jobs for Nigerian people. Those jobs will not be achieved by weeping for the jobless. It is by supporting businesses, particularly manufacturers that are labor intensive, like refineries. Over the years, NMDPRA, which you were a part of, invited and issued refinery licenses to so many. Fortunately, we have had one big one, and others not so big, and some modular refineries. Unfortunately, access to crude by these small modular refineries has been an issue. And your predecessor that was removed, and I celebrated it last night, he needed to be hanged. In my previous statement, I said, if we don't hang him, he will hang Nigeria. Because anyone who is opposed to jobs being created in Nigeria, who prefer importation, importing poverty here, and exporting our prosperity abroad, do not deserve to live. I want to see how his case will be pursued to conclusion. With you, sir, having been in the industry, and I imagine in your heart, you lament that refineries that worked before. I was in Kaduna. Many of my relations were getting jobs and contracts, LPO, to the Kaduna refinery. They are all dead. Now that you are here, and in view of the very shameful performance and policy choices of your predecessor, will you be informed by the spirit of patriotism and the interests of jobs for Nigeria, not the interests of the owners of refineries? The people who work there, who are our brothers and sisters, our children, who read chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, etc. What step will you take to balance national interests with this idea of run down the country so that you can import, and people who are adding no value make money without effort? But I want to congratulate you, and more importantly, salute our president for acting properly without allowing for a vacuum. And I'm still going to drink tonight because of the removal of Farouk.
Very insightful questions that were asked. And like the chairman Gas had alluded, I think we need time to sit with you to go through our detailed plans. But I think one of the core pillars for me is we must collaborate. Not just with the Senate, but we must have effective stakeholder collaboration. In my achievements, it was one of the things that enabled us move the needle forward. Identifying who the key stakeholders are, we sit together and then look at our pain points and go through the issues and come with solutions. We must also digitize our operations, because without real numbers, you don't know what you're dealing with. You must analyze real numbers. And if you don't have a digitized system in today's operation, you are losing money, you are wasting money. So these are areas that we must focus on, digitization. Asset integrity is another area. So as a regulator, we are not the one going to do the work. We must sit with our stakeholders and come up with enabling laws, regulations, policies to guide the industry. And I believe working with critical stakeholders like the Senate, we can channel the industry to the right direction. Like I said in my introduction, we have huge opportunities that we are leaving on the table. We are leaving value on the table today. The world is transiting at jet speed rates, and we are still manual. We must move with the world, otherwise the world will leave us behind. And we must translate our valuable resource to value. The oil, the gas. We talk about aviation fuel. We must convert the oil to meaningful products for domestic use and also for export. The same thing as gas. How can we be impoverished? We do not have light. We struggle with light, and we are sitting on over 200 trillion cubic feet of gas. It is unthinkable. How do we harness it? And I believe working together, it's got to be collaboration. There's no shortcut. We need to work together, put the right framework. The PIA is a valuable document. We must leverage on the PIA and ensure that we achieve our objectives. And once again, I want to thank Mr. President and the distinguished House for giving us this opportunity to present ourselves. Thank you very much.
Committee members, I would also dwell on the same line by first of all reminding us, because the first question that I had from the chairman, really I can see that he wanted a direct answer. Do we continue to import or don't we continue to import? I can tell you as a regulator, first of all, what is your primary national interest? If it is deemed necessary to fill a deficit, we must import. If not, we must do what distinguished Senator Adams Oshiomhole said. We have to protect our local investment. Because if local refining, we have been yearning for it. There was a time in this country where the 3 local refineries were the ones meeting our demand. As a matter of fact, the 4th refinery that came into Port Harcourt was for export. And that's why we built the Boni Export Terminal. The products were supposed to be exported, and behold, we started exporting. So really, that is the joy. Meet up your local requirements and export, certainly. But at the same time, we have to protect our local investment. Otherwise, we'll see them go the way the textiles went, if I'm not mistaken. The issue of gas to power, yes, of course there are issues. I've lived in it, I've grew in it, and I know where they are. And I think I can use my previous experience and looking from outside now. The key issues that are there, first of all, we must establish a discipline in running our network in this country. You cannot afford to be giving gas on best endeavor basis. Gas is a commodity that is sold before you even start producing it. So there must be contracts, there must be handshakes between the producer to the transporter to the eventual user. There must be contracts. And that is why today the only power plant that is enjoying uninterrupted gas supply is the one in Benin. I've forgotten the name. Because there are contracts. And everybody knows the consequence of not meeting any of the obligations of the contract. So enforce contracts, enforce what we call the network code. Because when I was MD of Nigerian Gas Company, we saw it coming that we know that the network will develop to an extent where it may end up chaotic. And that is why we developed network code. We have to implement and operationalize that network code. That's where the discipline is. As to what can we do differently, of course, there are many things that we can do differently. And I said one in my introduction, that the vast of investments required in the midstream are enormous. How do we get people back in the midstream? How do we get, for example, transporting our petroleum products more efficiently by bringing back the pipelines? How do we get gas processing plants adequately installed to meet the demands of the local domestic market. Those are the kind of things. And most importantly also, which is very key in terms of quality enforcement. Quality is key in what you do. You cannot just be selling products into the cars or trucks without knowing what quality it is. We have established quality. So Standards of the Organization of Nigeria has it. We have to enforce that. But you cannot enforce quality when you don't have a laboratory. You cannot rely on another third party to do it. So my first assignment, of course, is to look at what is available in the authority. And if there is no laboratory, it will become a key investment that we must immediately do. There were questions on catchment areas. Of course, I leave that, but we will look at it. Also the area where there has been this thing of lack of information. Obviously, we are new. When we get there, I look at what is the problem, and then we'll make sure that whatever the distinguished net is, it will come here too. And I must thank you very much. I have stakeholder management has been part of me. I've been in this business for a long time, and I think I cannot throw away that one. There is a lot of benefit for both sides to have that engagement and that stakeholder management as smooth as possible. Thank you very much.
Holders of National Assembly, we are joining you, congratulating Mr. President, congratulating Nigeria for having you to lead this very important sector, very critical, more especially this time around where we are in serious need of to boost our energy production in order to maximize our revenue to attend a national or the pressure we are facing as a country. Before closing our remark, I will hand over to my colleagues at least to move for a vote of thanks. Then we will call for the closure. But prepare all the questions we ask and similar questions for at least middle of January, where we will meet again for an interactive session here in Abuja or out of Abuja, where we will have something like retreat to enrich ourselves on how we are going to work together with you to achieve the results. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chairman. Distinguished colleagues and our two guests, I'll say thank you to our colleagues. You've done well. In a very short notice, we all assembled here. Without prior notice, we got it right. And it shows the enthusiasm of Nigerians. We represent Nigerians, and they've shown that. For all the questions left, right, center, Nigerians want to move forward. Our budget is very ambitious, and we depend on you for us to achieve a lot. 1.8 million barrels a day was achieved. Now that you're a regulator in charge, we know we must, and we are going to achieve 2.2 or 2.5. And for our moribund refineries, we know, having been there, there is hope. And I know I can say it for free that with your CV, you're going to give Nigerians hope. Nigerians are ready, the Senate is ready, because we now rely on you. Congratulations, and we wait for Mr. President's final words. Thank you.
Once again, my dear, someone will move for adjournment, then secondment as provided. Senator Adams Ashimole move for adjournment. Therefore, the motion has been moved and adopted. Therefore, we close the Senate die.
With the audio, we can use the same. By the way, yes. We can use this way. We can wait.